If you're like me, you've probably seen the stories on TV news about plastic in the ocean. It's very disturbing and a big problem. Well, I'm going to talk to Gil Yaron, who is the Director of Sales and Marketing for Ocean Legacy Foundation, an organization based in British Columbia that has found a way to turn that plastic back into reusable plastic for materials and consumer goods and so on. So welcome to the interview, Gil.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Now, I was fascinated when I saw the press release come through my inbox because this is a big problem. Nobody seems to really have been able to crack it yet. And here's your, what I assume is a fairly small organization in BC, where I live, that seems to got a handle on it. Tell us about this project.
Yeah, no, you're right on. About 8 years ago, the issue. Ocean plastics was a major issue, and our founder, Chloe Dubois, realized that there was no capacity to deal with this material, even if it was collected and salvaged off of our shorelines. And so she started the process of trying to develop the technology and the infrastructure that was going to be needed. And so 8 years later, here we are.
Okay, so it's Ocean Legacy Foundation, and the product is called Legacy Plastic. So tell us, where do you get the plastic? How do you gather that?
Right. So our plastic comes from a number of different sources. The one is from shorelines along the Pacific coast, primarily British Columbia, but not exclusively. We also receive plastic from Washington State. We're starting to work with Alaska. We've got some projects happening down in Panama and Mexico as well, but primarily BC. And so there are hundreds of organizations, including First Nations and community groups, that bring the plastic that they've collected from shorelines, as well as expeditions that go out to very remote areas to clean, hard to access shorelines. That all comes to us. The other source is from industry, so aquaculture farms, commercial fisheries. We have collection depots along the coast of BC and key areas where can receive netting and rope and other materials from used marine gear from these operations, and then we process those materials as well.
Will there come a time when, I've seen these operations, the boats with the big boom arms, and they're gathering up plastic, and then they collect it on the boat, and so they've removed it from the ocean. I gather there's all sorts of innovations being tested on how to do that at a bigger scale. Can you foresee a future in which those kind of operations, they gather it up, they bring it into one of your facilities, and then it's recycled?
Absolutely. I mean, we can take plastic from any source tied to the ocean. So whether it's, operations that are going right in and salvaging right from the ocean, from the hydrosphere, or whether they're collecting it on the shoreline or doing preventative work to salvage used marine gear before it ends up in the ocean. It really doesn't matter. The challenge is in handling this material at the processing level when it's contaminated, right? We have to deal, no matter at what point it's collected, it's been eroded, it has salt on it, sand, there's lots of contaminants in the material, as well as other materials. The ocean doesn't discriminate. It throws everything up onto the shoreline. So we get, rubber tires and toothbrushes and, the gamut. We've had RVs, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's about pulling the plastic out and separating it out for different resin types. That's where the challenge comes, is in terms of actually dealing with the materials once it's been collected.
How did you solve that challenge?
Well, we continue to refine our processes, but it was a lot of work. We literally started with volunteers hand sorting all this material. We are now, now we work with our partners in the field to get them to try to do some pre-sorting, particularly industry. We've worked with them and educated them to source separate material before it comes to us. But even on the shoreline cleanups, we have training that we give to people to tell them, here are the primary materials that we're taking. We give them separate bags so that they can do some pre-sorting at that point. So yeah, we do the best we can in that regard.
Now, so you get them sorted, then it goes through your process and you turn out plastic pellets, which then becomes the input into whatever process is going to make a consumer good. Tell us about this new partnership you've got with Full Circle Plastics from Nobleford, Alberta.
Yeah, so we're really excited about this opportunity. First Circle is they make composite lumber and with plastic, and so we've created this partnership where we are taking all of the shoreline plastic that we have and turning it into lumber, which can be used to manufacture all kinds of durable products. And we're really excited about, we just put out a bench that we've made out of this material, and it's working really well. And there's just so many possibilities with it. We're really just starting on that venture with them and very excited.
Is this process economic, Gil? I mean, does it pay for itself when you sell the pellets, or does it need to be supported in some way by, foundation funding or something like that?
Yeah, so in our startup phase, we definitely had really strong support from all levels of government, as well as corporate involvement. But now that we're at the point where we're able to produce a product that's marketable, the intention is that this is going to become financially self-sufficient. So then, there's just a huge good story around this material. This isn't just plastic. This plastic has a history. This is part of a solution to a global problem, a global crisis that we're facing. So we have a lot of interest, not just in terms of the material, but in the story and tying it into the products that are being made and sustainability mandates of the brands and the companies that want to associate with us.
Is your process one that could be replicated in other countries, and is that your intent?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're already in conversation to bring this technology to Eastern Canada. There are obviously companies in Europe that are doing something similar to us, but we are absolutely looking at developing relationships with other shoreline communities, whether it's in the US or overseas, if they're interested in this technology.
Could you foresee a future, Gil, where all plastic is just recycled over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, I don't know the exact the science on this, but plastic does have an ultimate end life. It does degrade to a point where you can't reuse it without adding additives or mixing it with virgin resin. But the intention initially is to create products that have a long, durable life, and so that we're not getting away from disposable products. Certainly with this material, we don't want to find this ocean material winding back out in the ocean. That's completely against our entire purpose of what we're doing here. So but to your point specifically, I mean, plastic can be reused over and over again. It has to be reinforced. It has to, there needs to be additives and other things added to restore its integrity, so that it can be used. It also depends on the purpose of the plastic. So for instance, you need, products that have safety requirements attached to them or something like that. They need to be, or health care products, they need to be of a certain integrity, and the specifications are very stringent. Whereas, things like a park bench that we're looking at don't. So there's a lot more flexibility in terms of the quality of the material that can be used in those types of products.
Gil, final question. Looking out, say, 2 to 5 years, where do you see your organization being? What are your goals?
Yeah, so our goals are to, make this material as available as possible to capture all the plastic that is ending up on our shorelines. We're not even scraping the barrel in terms of what's out there. Unfortunately, there's just so much pollution on our coasts, and scaling up our operations to meet demand, and also to potentially license or out this technology so that it's available in other, like you were suggesting, in other parts of the world.
Well, Gil, this sounds like this is a terrific story. We wish you all the best and good luck.
Thank you so much.